to For Real. It's Wednesday, and that means it's time for the News Moto, where Jeremy takes you for a ride, and I update you on the news of Cambodia. Today's ride is a continuation from New Year's Day, when we went out to the Angkor archaeological park to walk around a section of Angkor Thom's perimeter wall. In our video coming up this weekend, I'll show you what that walk looks like and all the points of interest you can see along the way. I highly recommend doing this walk if you have the time when you visit Siem Reap. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss that video. At For Real, we donate all of the money we earn from YouTube to charities in Cambodia. Here's the total we've donated so far. Simply watching our videos helps us to earn this money, so your time here on our channel directly helps people in Cambodia. Please subscribe if you haven't already. There's a tiny little subscribe icon in the bottom right of the screen, so just go ahead and give it a little tickle. Today is Wednesday, the 11th of January, and in this episode, we'll try to get to the bottom of the craziness going on with Thailand's borders. We'll also see what's happening in preparation for the return of Chinese tourists in Cambodia. We've also got the latest on weed, dolphins, and some new rules about the kinds of cameras you're allowed to use within the Angkor archaeological park. You've probably heard about the new entry requirements that were announced by Thailand ahead of China lifting travel restrictions for its citizens. Well, after starting Monday morning enforcing the rule that all non-Thai passengers had to show proof of COVID vaccination prior to boarding, Thailand has done a complete U-turn and cancelled restrictive COVID-19 measures for incoming air passengers less than 24 hours after they were implemented. Thailand had originally taken this step to avoid what could be perceived as discriminatory requirements if only Chinese citizens were targeted. As you can imagine, problems arose at check-in desks around the world because, although Thailand had cancelled the requirements, the airlines had not yet been informed. Many passengers would have been unaware of the need for proof of vaccination in the first place. Some passengers were denied boarding in the period of time between the proof of vaccination requirement being enacted and subsequently cancelled. Very unlucky and unfortunate for those people. Health insurance that covers at least $10,000 for COVID-19 treatment is still required for passengers from countries that require a PCR test before they're allowed back into their home countries. This measure is effective until at least the end of January, but it may be extended if there's a need. In contrast, Cambodia's Ministry of Tourism has said that the kingdom is ready to welcome the return of Chinese investors and tourists, saying that their presence is vital for tourism and socio-economic development. The statement added that China's reopening of its borders will give a big boost to the tourism sector in all countries, as China is such a huge source of potential tourists for the world. The Praya Sihanouk provincial governor has told officials to be prepared for an influx of Chinese visitors, and relevant authorities will need to increase security in the province. He stated, "We must prepare ourselves to welcome our Chinese guests, and law enforcement agencies must pay attention to security. There will be security issues and the relevant agencies must be ready to deal with it." The police chief major said the enhanced security did not stem from the anticipated influx of visitors, but was necessary to improve stability and security for citizens and visitors. People should not fear the arrival of Chinese tourists and investors, as police will ensure the security of everyone, he said. A spokesman from the human rights group called Ad Hoc expressed concern over the government's reluctance to impose restrictions on Chinese nationals arriving in Cambodia, and not just those relating to COVID. He said, "The influx of Chinese into Cambodia is also an issue that needs to be addressed because they are difficult to adapt to Cambodian society and often cause problems such as drug trafficking, traffic accidents, human trafficking, and others. There are many cases in the past that were caused by the Chinese, no matter how hard the police tried to prevent it," he said. This is interesting because it's not often you hear an opinion as strong as this being expressed in the media. Release the Kraken. A new COVID variant XBB 1.5 is the most transmissible so far and is a new strain of Omicron nicknamed Kraken. According to experts, the Kraken strain has become the dominant one in the US. The XBB variant has flu-like symptoms, like the Omicron and Delta virus. It is contagious and it can be serious for people with underlying health issues and the elderly. The infection rate of this variant is faster than its counterparts. However, if people are immunised, it will reduce transmission, mortality, and hospitalisation rates. Based on current evidence, there is no indication of increased severity associated with this strain. Everyone must remain vigilant and prevent infection when in crowded or closed settings to protect themselves as well as their loved ones who may be at greater risk of severe disease. And that's what it's all about. Time for some good news. The Siem Reap International Airport project is at 60% completion and construction should be finished by October this year. Now to some news that may make 99% of you confused. In an effort to protect the sanctity and authenticity of Angkor Wat Temple, the Apsara National Authority has banned visitors from using fisheye cameras inside the National Heritage Site. The Apsara National Authority said that some visitors had been misusing their 360-degree and 180-degree cameras to project Khmer cultural heritage in a bad shape to the outside world through their edited images and videos. But it gets a little confusing because there is no blanket ban on the use of 360 or 180-degree cameras. A ban on VR cameras was introduced in 2015, but it had never been implemented. A statement said, "Visitors can use these cameras after obtaining permission from the Apsara Authority. We are not banning such cameras completely. We will allow these cameras if they want to use them for a genuine purpose." It's very difficult to prove you intend to use a camera only for a genuine purpose, especially when there is no definition of what constitutes such genuine purpose. Authorities have installed advertisement boards near the temple which reads 360-degree, 180-degree cameras are not allowed. So if you do want to use these devices, make sure you get permission. Normal cameras and phone cameras are still allowed, no problem at all. If anyone has managed to get permission for one of those other cameras, please let us know in the comments. Damn. The governor of Praia Sihanouk province has stated that after the collapse of a dam, the supply of clean water to the people of Sihanoukville will be disrupted by about 50%. A team of officials went to attempt to solve the problem after the collapse occurred, causing damage to the water pump, affecting the water supply to about half of Sihanoukville's population, as well as parts of Prey Knob and Stunghav districts. Authorities are working hard to find a way to repair it as soon as possible. Let's have a look at compensation for the victims of the Poipet fire. The provincial administration and casino officials are working on providing compensation for the 57 affected Cambodians who had undergone treatment and have since been discharged from hospital. Thai victims have already received compensation of nearly $30,000 from the company. However, it's unknown how much compensation the Cambodian victims will receive. Now onto some happy plants. Takeo province has been cited as a top producer of marijuana plants in Cambodia. Authorities found 32 cases of marijuana cultivation and arrested 5 Cambodian growers. People who have only a few plants will be educated and released. However, those who cultivate on a large scale for retail will have their plants destroyed and they'll face prosecution. According to a report, police confiscated more than 14 tonnes of marijuana and over 60,000 cannabis plants. What do you think, dear viewer? Should Cambodia adopt laws similar to those in Thailand? Let us know in the comments. The next bright spark has been unearthed in prison. An enterprising thief whose specialty was stealing electrical wire has been apprehended by police in Phnom Penh. The victim of his crime was resting when his electricity suddenly failed. Realising what had happened, the victim investigated and caught the thief red-handed and then alerted police, who are now building a case according to the law. Hopefully he won't refuse to talk. In memory of Spin King Shane Warne, these cars did his flipper out of respect. A spectacular crash in Phnom Penh early this morning saw one car flip upside down and another wedged into a building. According to residents at the scene, a white Hilux Revo was seen being driven by a man at high speed. The man was attempting to make a turn off the road when he was hit by a Lexus NX 2000T that was travelling at high speed. The Hilux ended up upside down while the Lexus smashed into a nearby cafe. Luckily, no one was injured in the crash. Another driver and his companions had an unwelcome conclusion to their Phnom Penh nightclub visit in the wee hours of Sunday morning. Police at the scene first saw a white Mazda car being driven by a man with 4 passengers who had just visited a nightclub. They were travelling along the National Assembly Road from south to north at high speed. The Mazda driver lost control, smashed into another parked car, and then flipped onto its roof. From flipping cars to flipper. Good news for Irrawaddy dolphins. The Fisheries Administration is working to demarcate protection zones along the Mekong River to protect the country's remaining Irrawaddy dolphins. It's estimated that there are only 89 left. That is such a small number. Some 10 critically endangered Irrawaddy dolphins were killed last year. The spate of deaths caught the attention of Prime Minister Hun Sen, and he has instructed authorities to take immediate action to protect the remaining dolphins. No fishing of any kind will be allowed inside the protection zones, and fishermen are not allowed into those zones either. We hope this is enough to save these animals on the brink of extinction. That brings us to the end of this week's news. You're now up to date with all of the most important events in the kingdom. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, have a great week, and we'll see you very soon.